My name is Connor Schoen, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of Break10. We're a Boston-based organization working to break the cycle of young adult homelessness. Really excited to be here with all of you to talk about the link between employment and housing justice and how to leverage employment partnerships to break the cycle of young adult homelessness. So for context, I specifically work, again, in the youth space with 18 to 24-year-olds who sort of at the start of their adulthood, the start of their journey experiencing transient homelessness. Most of the young people we work with aren't yet in the category of chronic homelessness and are sort of a different phase in terms of the services they need. But what happens with a lot of our young people is there's this sort of cycle of homelessness where young people never have the job and financial security they need to maintain housing, and never have the housing security they need to hold down a job to build financial security. When I was working at a youth shelter in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 2017 and 2018, I saw this cycle again and again with a lot of the young people we were working with, to where the average young person was experiencing homelessness off and on for up to 2 years. And the likelihood of chronic homelessness increased 2% every single day that that young person was experiencing homelessness. So if we can't break this cycle and we can't break it fast, it leads to chronic homelessness. It leads to a lot of the upstream challenges that many of you are dealing with in the adult space, in the chronic homelessness space, in the public health space. And so how do we break this cycle? There's a lot that needs to be done, and I'm going to talk specifically today about the power of employment partnerships to help young people achieve financial security and permanent housing. So employment intervention innovation, employment is really a powerful tool to ensure that young people can start to build savings, build credit, have stable income, get into housing. But the challenge that I saw when I was starting Break10 back in 2018 is that in the workforce development space, a lot of folks they weren't specialized to have the appropriate wraparound services and case management needed to help a young person experiencing homelessness succeed in that program. In the housing space, a lot of shelters, transitional housing facilities were saying, hey, we're funded by HUD. We've got funding for housing and some supportive services, but we're not specialists in job security. We're not specialists in financial security. So I'm going to talk a little bit about supportive transitional employment. I'm using Break10's model as an example here because it's, of course, what I know the best. But I want to communicate with all of you just really the high-level learnings that hopefully you can take from this. And I'm really excited for anyone who wants to follow up and connect more to talk more about the details. But here's just a basic summary of how supportive transitional employment can be used as a tool to help folks to break the cycle of homelessness, get into stable jobs, and start to build financial security. So at Break10, our program starts with what we call Launchpad, which is 3 weeks of job training, financial literacy, and life skills. It's really equipping young people with the soft skills they need to succeed in any job environment. And it's designed to be responsive to the needs of those specific young people. The number one challenge our young people have, especially at the beginning, is showing up at all and showing up on time. We structure our whole curriculum around 6 essentials of success, which include punctuality, attendance, but also engagement, interpersonal communication, things that we all need on a daily basis in our jobs throughout our entire career, that you'll need regardless of what field you go into, what career trajectory you want to go into. And so starting here, I think is really important in any supportive transitional employment environment. You want to make sure that folks are equipped with the soft skills they need to succeed, no matter what industry you're going into. So that's how we start. It's a paid program. I think that's so important because the opportunity cost of the time of our young people, of people experiencing homelessness, is so high. Every second they're not making income has a tremendous amount of weight on their life, because that might be a missed meal that day. That might be another day of delayed being able to afford rent, another day of back rent accruing. So making sure that folks are compensated for this time is really important. And to encourage and incentivize attendance, we make sure that there's sort of perks for showing up early. So on 2 random days, you get a gift card if you show up by 8:55. You get sort of the stipend is dependent on if you show up on time or not. There's like a $5 deduction of the $200 if you don't show up on time. It's not substantial, but enough to sort of signal that, hey, showing up at 9:01 versus 8:59 does have an impact, and it's important to come on time. So folks aren't just learning about soft skills in theory during that time, they're actually starting to practice and build them. The second part of the supportive transitional employment model, at least in the way that we do it at break time, is a paid transitional employment opportunity. We pay $20 an hour and place folks everywhere from hospitals to early education centers, restaurants, all different types of industries. But the model looks the same throughout. Usually these are 20 to 30 hour a week job placements. We usually split the cost with the job site, helping to subsidize the cost, knowing that they're working with someone who's new in the workforce. There might be a little bit of start and go at the beginning, there might be some challenges. And we're getting bi-weekly feedback and evaluations from the job site managers saying, hey, Johnny was not attentive this week, he was showing up late, how can we support him to make sure that turns around? What we see is a steady increase in the ability of young people to get 5s out of 5s on their scores for attendance, for punctuality, the things they learned about and started to practice in training and Launchpad, that they're now putting into action their job placements throughout this lift-up portion. So I think ensuring that there's that supportive transitional period where folks are getting into the workforce but still have that comprehensive wraparound support is really important. We match any savings folks put aside during that time. We provide credit counseling. So I think layering on top that financial security piece is really critical. This last piece of what we do at break time, which I think is key to a supportive transitional employment model, is long-term wraparound support. We call it stable orbit. It's 3 years of continued case management. We actually pay $100 a month to provide supplemental income to our alumni during that time and incentivize their continued engagement with our case managers. And that helps to ensure that these beginning phases lead to actual long-term outcomes, because at the end of the day, we want to see stable employment, stable finances, and stable housing. We want to see folks getting to a place of $3,000 or more in savings after a year. We want to see folks with transferable job skills that they can take throughout their careers, and a credit score, a prime credit score of 660 plus, that is going to help them to secure housing if they're doing it on the private market, or even if they're doing it through certain transitional housing programs. So overall, again, I share break time's model as an example, but I think what I've most learned about supported transitional employment is it's important to have a training phase where you're equipping folks with the right soft skills that moves into the really hands-on, this is actually a supportive work environment phase. It's not just a handoff to an employer though, there's still that wraparound support and coaching and a very deep relationship with the employer, getting feedback on how the young person's doing, and then long-term support afterwards, because otherwise the impact of those first two phases can fade away.